As a society, we are becoming more conscious of the decisions we make when it comes to sustainability. Whether it's replacing single-use plastic bottles with reusable ones, or opting to cycle instead of taking the car. This trend is also being seen in the world of finance, with investment companies providing investors with the potential to invest sustainably, and renewables are at the forefront of these developments.
Investing in renewables, investing in sustainability is a massive theme of our generation, right? We have a huge problem we need to overcome. That huge problem is going to require both government and private sector working together. We're private sector investing into assets which help solve these problems.
This is a new sector which has been, over the last 10 or so years, developing with great strength in response to all of the concerns on climate change. So one of the chief ways of achieving decarbonisation within the energy sector is through renewable electricity, and windmills, solar parks have become very successful at generating energy without the emission of carbon at considerable scale.
The sun's not always shining, the wind's not always blowing, so that creates issues for the national grid to manage supply and demand. So we're building the long-term assets that are replacing the old gas-fired generation by putting in low-carbon renewable assets, but we're also building energy storage systems that help move away from gas and coal-fired power stations.
These businesses are hard to find. They are unique businesses often, without comparable businesses that you could buy on the stock exchange. And through buying through us, we're able to bring high standards, the high standards that we have, to bear on companies that otherwise might be less sophisticated or less driven towards achieving those standards for themselves.
Investment companies invest in renewable energy assets that can last into the long term and can be an effective income generator for investors.
We invest in windmills, solar parks, usually when they're operational, sometimes when they're still in construction, but with the objective of owning those assets for the long term. These assets may last for 25, 30 or more years, and that provides us with long-term revenue, which we can then give back to our investors in the form of dividends.
With growing support from governments and regulators, the sector also offers stability.
OECD countries and the EU in particular, and also the UK as a shining example of that, have really put in place very strict targets around renewable penetration and emissions control. That's opened up a huge area of investment opportunity to actually be able to adhere to those by building renewable energy generation, building storage, and making sure that those building blocks are there to be able to hit those targets.
As with all asset classes, there are risks associated with investing in the renewables infrastructure sector.
The risk will depend on the phase of the investment. You can invest at development stage, construction stage, or operational stage. The later the investment takes place, usually the lower the risk profile of the transaction.
There's operational risks, so these are real living, breathing assets that need to be built and operate every day, and there's various levels of complexity in different asset classes to doing that.
Investment companies offer the opportunity to access a diversified portfolio of renewable energy assets run by experienced managers, as well as the chance to make an investment with a real positive impact on the world we live in. Whatever asset class you are considering, you should bear in mind that your money is exposed to risk. You should not invest in these investment companies if you need a guaranteed income, or if you cannot afford to lose your capital. If you are not sure whether or which investment companies are suitable for you, you should consider taking independent financial advice.